Hey guys, welcome back to the Bucket Think Tank for another round of comic talk, and we'll get right into it with Shazam, or the new Champion of Shazam, issue 4. So, this story is finally done, and I don't hate it, but I don't like it. Like, to me, this was not a story that really lived up to any of its hype, and I think that's sort of the problem with the Shazam books in general. Like, I don't think Billy or even Mary as a character is interesting enough to really carry a solo book, at least not anymore. Either put him on the Justice League or the Titans, or bring the whole Shazam family back. It just doesn't work. So anyway, when we last left off, Mary sort of unleashed her feelings with into Darla about how she felt she was never going to come back, and all of that. And yeah, Darla left, and then Mary realized, oh crap, I know who's behind all this, which was the person we all knew was behind it. And I think it was like issue 2. When I saw the new teacher, I'm like, she's evil. No, it was issue 3. It was issue 3. That's right. So anyway, Mary goes down. She goes down to the school, and she finds, oh, the monsters that were fighting there, and she fights her way through that. And it turns out those 3 dudes, those 3 shadows with cell phones on their chest, those were also the people online that were just harassing Mary, like talking bad about the new Shazam. Like, oh, it's you guys. A bunch of faceless, nameless, unimportant people. Yeah? Yeah. And she takes them down like, you need to be nice to people on the internet, and walk off. And sure, she defeated internet troll culture by revealing that they're just a bunch of nameless, faceless, unimportant people. Accurate, but whatever. I don't really see how that had anything to do with this overall story, but whatever. And then we come down to actually what the plot is, and we find out about Dr. G. Dr. G, who has taken everyone, including Uncle Marv, her parents, even the dean, and Darla. I don't know why random people are blindfolded, but whatever. Dr. G reveals that her real last name is Sivana. She's Dr. Sivana's daughter. And he's like, yeah, magic drove him insane, drove him away from the family and everything, and I was forced to deal with that legacy. I'm like, this is interesting. Because you can sort of see maybe a parallel between Mary and the new Sivana, the new Dr. Sivana. The idea that they're both being defined by other people. She had a chance to find her own sort of way in the world, but she does. She does magic tech, which is just, magic science, techno magic. It's all the sort of thing. What she does is she's drawing all the magic from people, in this case the homeless or whoever ends up in that subway, and converts it into those smartphones. And those smartphones are basically batteries. I'm like, that's clever. The problem is, though, it doesn't quite last. So yeah, that's the whole plan here. She wants Mary to help with this. Mary's like, you are crazy. And Dr. G's like, shame, gotta kill you. And I'm like, this could have all been avoided had you just not done this. And Mary has a whole existential sort of moment, like, who am I? I'm the throwaway daughter, her being a foster child. She's a girl who doesn't really plan everything out, but just really go by the seat of her pants. She's Shazam, basically. It was sort of this weird attempt to sort of define who Mary is. And she saves the day, boop, boop, ba-doop. Everyone's been rescued, and people like the new Shazam now, which didn't really feel like an issue to begin with. And as everyone's chilling at the end of the day, Mary gets like this vision of Billy in trouble, which leads to Lazarus Planet. And, yeah. This story is just kind of there. I think that's the best way to sum it up. I don't think any of it really endears you to Mary. Because Mary's entire story is, I want to start a whole new life. I don't get to do that. Which, okay, makes sense. It's a very real thing. But then the rest of this family dynamic is kind of gone. Like I said before, Billy's always more interesting when he has someone else to play off of. And I think the same goes for Mary. Like when Mary's working with Darla or interacting with her foster siblings, I think that's way more interesting than this generic superhero story. Even her enemy is so paper thin. Like everyone, as you read it, like, this is the bad guy. You did the zoom in and everything. All right. I don't know. Was this bad? No. Campbell, I think, did a decent enough job, but there's no spice to this story. There was no you have to read this. So again, we have another Shazam story that just like, you know what? No, not worth it. Next we have Nightwing issue 100, and this will be the last time I read Nightwing month to month. Like, this isn't bad, but it sort of highlights more problems with Nightwing as a story. So the story opens up a really great place, Wayne Manor in Gotham City. Batman and Nightwing are standing before Alfred's grave and really talking about what's happened in the past, let's say 72 hours. Let's say 72 hours. And namely that Heartless has come in, he's gone to Bloodhaven prison, and pretty much pulled a Bane. Like, guys, the revolution is now. Let's go, let's start. Who wants to come and mess some stuff up? They're like, yeah, wear these masks, and we're good. And he even gets the KG Beast, and for some reason, Bloodhaven prison holds an Elephant Man. And I thought, is that the same Elephant Man from the Elephant Man comic? Is this a war toy? Oh, Mappo is not going to be happy. Bloodhaven's going to get sued. But anyway. Nightwing does what Nightwing does. He goes in like, guys, I know this isn't all of you, all right? You have a chance right now. Take off the mask and go help protect Bloodhaven, all right? I get it. The system failed you. A lot of you in there are trumped up charges. You have a chance to change now. And they take it. They take it. A good portion of them like, you know what? Yeah, this isn't us. We just didn't want to be in prison anymore. And Bloodhaven is that kind of corrupted prison where you're like, well, I didn't participate in the riot, nor did I leave. Yeah, but you might as well go back to prison. I'm like, what? Okay, no parole? All right. So those prisoners help put out the fires, help evacuate people, pretty much help out save the day. Then the Titans come in and like, what do you need us to do, Nightwing? And like, we're going to be Teen Titans. And one group goes off and fight the Elephant Man. Of course, Beast Boy did, which I wish there was more dialogue about this. But Donna Troy's there, so by default, the Elephant Man does nothing. There's a really interesting moment when Heartless meets up with Tony Zuko, the guy responsible for the death of Dick Grayson's parents. And remember that we know that Heartless was actually there the night that Dick Grayson's parents were murdered by Tony Zuko, and he loved it. He loved torturing Dick Grayson. So this is hilarious. But that's whole stopped by Nightwing showing up, and then he fights the KG Beast. And in case you forgot, KG Beast did shoot Nightwing in the head. And then later, when he showed up in Nightwing again, it was Wally that punched him. And I'm like, okay, all right. Should the KG Beast really have been a bigger antagonist for this story? But then again, I think everyone should have been a bigger antagonist. But anyway, coming back to it. Then the Titans come in and like, hey, it's KG Beast. Well, let's beat him up some more. And we really downplayed KG Beast here. They couldn't find Heartless. He took his mask off, and the mask they found actually has something written, Dick Grayson has more to lose, which lets them know that whoever Heartless is knows that Nightwing is Dick Grayson. So, yeah. And then after all the cleanup is done, Wonder Woman and Superman are like, hey, Nightwing, we'd like you to lead a new team in the Justice League, because as you saw in the events of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, the Justice League is disbanded, so we want you to lead a new one. And then the real heart of this story comes in, which is Batman and Nightwing taking the mask off, and they're Dick and Bruce again, and they're talking about their feelings and how Bruce feels that, he's failed Dick, and that, Alfred was better at communicating the problems here. And it's a nice moment, but Dick is sort of like, on Bruce's side in the way that Bruce is. Like, no, you wouldn't have abandoned me. You couldn't abandon me. All right, you were someone with this huge mission, drive, and darkness, and you put as much of that aside as possible to help make sure my world wasn't destroyed. And I love that. I love the sort of props to Batman. Like, hey, actually props to Bruce. Whole other discussion I've been having about Batman and Bruce Wayne. But anyway, there's this great scene of a hug, and Dick going, I love you, Dad, and great scene. And so part of this whole thing is, well, Nightwing is moving Titan's Tower to Bloodhaven, or using the prison. They tore down the prison and they built a new Titan's Tower. Presumably, this is also going to be the new Justice League? I don't know. Overall, this other comic ends with going like, yeah, we're moving to Bloodhaven. Which, to me, means that they're closer to Gotham, so if Batman ever needs help, like, I need some muscle send Starfire. Or, I need some tech hacking, send Cyborg. I don't know. Is Bloodhaven going to matter now that the Titans Tower is here? Doubt it, but whatever. Over on Nightwing 100, this cover looks amazing. It looks like it's implying a much bigger story, and that story isn't here. Why isn't it here? Because it's just not. Like we say, Nightwing number 100, that's 25 issues, if I'm not mistaken, of Tom Taylor's Nightwing. And it's kind of underwhelming. There's like no real struggle or strife. Dick Grayson's the same person going in as he is going out of these issues. And maybe that's sort of the point, that Nightwing is this incorruptible figure. But his lowest point is just that he's been working too hard. I don't know. Like, his faith in Bloodhaven, I think, is the best part about this story. Whereas everything else is just sort of, I don't know. Like, Blockbuster was kind of just written as incompetent. At least it's not that big a threat. Heartless kind of does next to nothing. Tony Zuko was a great little distraction, little shiny object. His sister Melinda, his half-sister Melinda, kind of doesn't really matter to this story. She could have been anyone with no real connection to Nightwing. She just could have been, the same story could have happened. Hey, you got knocked out, I took your mask off, and hey, you're Nightwing. There we go. That's kind of it. So yeah, I've no interest in continuing to read this monthly. So, at this point, I'll just be on the ground, wait for an interesting trade, or until the creative team changes. Again, Tom Taylor isn't telling a bad story, he's telling a boring story, which sometimes is worse. So next we have One Bad Day Bane, and this story was fun, alright? This story is fun. Joshua Williamson seems to be under the impression that we can have Bane be Al Bundy. Alright? In the sense that Al Bundy's greatest point is the touchdowns he got in a single game. So anyway. This story here is Bane in Santa Prisca, and he is living it as a professional wrestler, where all he does is reenact the high point of his career when he broke Batman's back. That's all it is. And I thought, well, that can't be all of it, is there? And then you go through, like, even as he's packing up and everyone's talking about how good a legend is, it's for breaking Batman's back. And then he goes to his mansion, and like all these other pictures adorn the place, like people of Santa Prisca, the people he's inspired. The biggest one he has is the newspaper clip of when he broke Batman. I'm like, is that really all there is to Bane? Then I thought, kind of. That really is the selling point of his career, of his legend, is that, he's done that. And to be fair, few other criminals, or a few members of Batman's Rogues Gallery have that much to go with. It's really just, Ra's al Ghul, Joker, of course, and Bane, really kind of it. Like, there's no real sort of, like, victory or moment that other members of the Rogues Gallery have. I mean, you can give the War of Jokes and Riddles to Riddler, but you also have to think the War of Jokes and Riddles is that important, but whatever. So anyway, while he's chilling in his house, some kid offers him Venom, and I'm like, what? How do you have Venom? Like, they're making it in Texas. And for those who don't know, Bane has weaned himself off Venom. He's like totally clean. And he's sort of resolved to be this other person. I'm like, okay, cool. So this is also part of a story about him moving past his addiction. Venom is highly addictive. There was a whole story for Batman when he was on Venom. And it's actually a really good story with addiction and the low points. And we're seeing Bane coming off this. And now he's like, so Venom is too powerful and too destructive to everybody to allow it to be made. So he's going to go stop it. And this also regales the story about how when he got it and with the doctor who created it. And it's a fun story. It is a fun story. But I think the real meat of this is everything else going on. The fact that there's a story where Bane and Batman work together to stop another shipment of Venom in the past, where Bane says, this is a story where I killed Batman, and it's felt like, did we just take the Arkham City storyline and just tried to make it better? Which isn't hard. Like, that story is such a video game story. Like, hey, let's find these containers. Let's break them. What? We were never really working with... Yeah, we get it. Anyway, so they go through, we find out about this kid, and it turns out, like Bane, he effectively was born into a cycle of violence where Bane was forced to rot in prison because of his father's crime. This kid here, he had no choice but to live in that world of drug dealing that his father brought him into. I'm like, okay, nice little parallel here. And then we also go back to that story with Batman and Bane working together. And really, I think what this story is Bane sort of facing the sort of reality of his past, and how really when he was on Venom, he was sort of at the top of his game. But this story here was really just Bane pointing out that Venom didn't make him any more than he already was. Like, it made him stronger, sure. But he was more than Venom. He was smart before he got the Venom. He was capable before the Venom. The Venom just gave him that extra push. And even the kid turns it down. It's a really great scene. And then we get to, of course, the scene in the hospital of printing out this story here, where it turns out one of the agreements for helping Batman was that, hey, Batman and Bane would fight, and Batman would kill him. And Bane sort of lays it out there that really the high point of his life has been when he beat Batman, and he has nothing else to go with there. So he really wants like one more fight, one more serious fight, and I like it. But then Batman goes, "No, I'll tell you what. You leave. You find another reason to keep going, and at the end of it, then I will fight you." And it's a really sort of fun way to look at it. And Bane sort of like inspired, takes the kid under his wing, sort of like his own Robin, and he goes and trains him, and that's how the comic ends. One Bad Day Bane is interesting because where the other was this, see here, Riddler, Two-Face, Penguin, Freeze, where the other four were about really a back and forth with Batman. This one just sort of has Batman sort of as a background character. And I think it's because at the end of the day, Bane and Batman are sort of similar characters. They're defined by tragedy. They're defined by loss. They sort of live sort of rent from each other's head. Like, they both view each other as the most dangerous person on the planet. So that's fun. But this is also just sort of Bane, like Freeze, in a better place than when they started. The difference is that where the Freeze has sort of explored the sort of toxic nature of Freeze and sort of what he's become and who he was before, and getting back to being that brilliant mind, Bane is sort of realizing, he's been stuck in that one great moment of his life, and it hasn't moved past it. So now he is moving past Venom, moving past what he viewed as the high point of his life, and is doing something productive, and I like it. So this makes, you know what? I will put Two-Face as the worst one. Like, Riddler's at least trying to explore the dynamic of Riddler's character. I love Penguin too much to put him anywhere at 1 because that was a great story, but I'm going to knock Penguin down to 2. And we'll put Bane at 3rd and Freeze at 1. I think that's the greatest we'll look at. And Catwoman next week. Oh, I was not ready for that. But anyway. Next we have Stargirl and the Lost Children. I'm still loving this book. This was a great issue with some great art. So this story here, Emiko is in this castle, or this chateau, it almost looks like. And she's being watched, and we see Stargirl with Wing, Airwave, and who's this robot? Cherry Bomb. Oh, Cherry Bomb. Oh, it's not a robot. My mistake. And Robbie the Robot Dog, who may be Best Boy. Oh no, it's still Canine. But they're going through. Stargirl wants to just fly up there, but no. There's a barrier out there that stops them, and also the egg carriers. What did they call them in Jimmy Neutron? I always forget. I never looked that up. Anyway, they have to go to. They're going to their hideout. While on the other side of the island, the childminder, as she calls herself, comes and says, "Hey, I'm trying to help. Trust me, I'm trying to help. I may look creepy. I may kidnap kids, but I'm trying to help." And meanwhile, Stargirl meets the other side, the lost generation of sidekicks, and there's a lot of them. Oh, there's sidekicks to a bunch of heroes I've never heard of. There's sidekicks to the Peacemaker? No. Little zoom. The Guardian. The original Hour Man. John Henry Irons, Betsy Ross, Ladybug. oh, that origin sounds great. Oh, but this is actually really cool. And we have Dr. Fate had a sidekick, Mr. Terrific, the first Mr. Terrific had a sidekick. So that's cool. Like, no one even knew about them. I really do like this. It's fun. It's fun, and you sort of realize that entire like legacy has been forgotten. Like in the same way we have different Robins, we could have had different sidekicks to Doctor Fate, different sidekicks. Mr. Terrific could have a sidekick. It won't matter. It won't fix his book, but he could have had a sidekick. Michael Holt could have had a sidekick. Oh, it would have been his son. Oh, it's so bad. Anyway. So, Corky, my least favorite member of the Time Masters, which is weird because I've never read anything about the Time Masters, but I hate this kid. Oh my god. He's like, yeah, if you listen to me, I might help you. Alright, the key isn't saving Jay Garrick's daughter. I'm like, oh, everything's coming together now. Because the comic ends with Emiko talking to the person on the other side of her cell, and it's Judy Garrick on a treadmill. I'm like, so this explains everything. Should we have waited for this? So, if you recall, in Just League of America, well, what was it? The big issue for this one that set this all up, we found that someone was going through time and presumably kidnapping sidekicks and killing Dr. Fates. Weird pattern, but whatever. So how are they doing it? Well, you have a speedster hooked up to a treadmill. Which, when you say it like that, is like you hook a speedster to a treadmill and you got time travel. So, yeah, she's the boom and the thunder. I love it. I love this kid. Judy Garrick may be my new favorite hero. This may be the new Flash. All right, everyone step aside. Barry, Wally, Bart, Jai, Iris, Jesse Quick, the dude with the I don't know that one. I think he's Hispanic. The Hispanic looking dude. All of you are fired. All right, and that non-binary Flash I was never reading, fired too. All right, Judy Garrick, the boom and the thunder. I love it. Overall, so Stargirl and the Lost Children is, in my opinion, really fun, really straightforward. There was not a lot of story from a character point here. Last issue, we got a lot of Emiko sort of coming to terms with the fact how she feels forgotten the same way that characters like Wing did, because no one's looking for them anymore. They were just gone. Like Stargirl mentions when she sees Ladybug, that Ladybug's parents looked for her for years, but she was just gone. So yeah, this conspiracy, whatever's going on, is just plucking these sidekicks out and possibly removing them from the consciousness of the community. So it's weird and messed up and dark. Here we're just seeing how many of them are gone. Like, this is something straight out of Neverland, like a worse Neverland. All right, all these kids, like, presumably, I'm definitely gonna go with the fact that these kids who work with the garden, they're all orphans. I know that look, except the one in the suit, but whatever. A lot of them had nowhere else to go, and they were just taken. Like, it's just sort of messed up. And they're all just keep waiting for, like, one of these kids is going to come out to help us. And even darker, a lot of them don't realize that time has passed off the island. A lot of them, they've only been gone for maybe like a week or two. Or maybe even a month at most. Courtney is so far ahead of them. Like, those kids are in reality old enough to be her grandparents. Oh, it's so messed up when you think about it. But, as great as that was, that is not where the gold of this week was. The gold of this week was, ladies and gentlemen, so great. Hang on. Of this was the man, the myth, the legend, Gargoyles issue 2. Oh, first of all, this cover is horribly misleading. Don't do this again, guys. Just put Gargoyles on the cover. Or, whatever. So anyway, but Thalog is in it. So this first page I do like. Angela talking about how she does dream. Like, gargoyles do dream when they're in stone sleep, which we knew. We know Hudson has dreamed about his battle with the Archmage, which led to him making Goliath the leader. We know that Goliath has dreamed about his sort of pseudo marriage to Demona in one episode. Really great. The episode Vows, love it. So here she dreams about her time on Avalon, her dream about her mother and all of her rage, her relationship with Broadway, and but what we're really seeing is sort of this new life happening underneath somewhere in Castle Wyvern. I don't get it. So when Xanatos put the castle up, he put it brick by brick, but apparently there's still like a rookery there, but you couldn't put the rookery up there. But anyway, so. Brooklyn and his mate, I keep forgetting her name. Don't be Katana. They have an egg. and they're just keeping that egg there as is Gargoyle custom, and Broadway and Foo Dog are protecting it ever so fiercely. I love it. And she has realized that, Brooklyn has given their child the name Eggward, and she just now realized that's a joke name, and she's like, we're gonna have a talk. But anyway, they're all going to go see Angela and Derek because Derek and Maggie are having a child, and they come to see that they're all unconscious, and yeah, weird. Also, that's Delilah on the right. So little break in this. So there, at one point in the comics, Goliath and Lisa go on, like, they decide to not pursue a relationship, and Goliath dates Delilah, and it's so weird when you think about it because Delilah is a fusion of, I believe, Demona and Elisa and Angela. So it's so weird that Goliath had to try to date a woman who was basically his ex, the girl he likes, and his daughter. It was so weird. But anyway. Meanwhile, at Bellevue Hospital, Dominic Dracon is being taken out of custody. He's being released on accounts that he is no longer mentally fit. He has dementia, and his granddaughter, Tony, or was it Antoinette? Antoinette Dracon comes in. She hates that people call her Tony because Tony is her brother. And it turns out Dominic is faking having dementia, which no one's surprised about. But the main reason they brought him out is because the turf war going on, and they need to put a stop to it. So meanwhile, back at the labyrinth, they all get a rundown as to exactly what happened. Everything was going good before. We're all set for the delivery. And boop, boop, doop. The plot happened. There was gas. Everyone was knocked out. A message was sent through to Coldfire to announce it, which Owen Burnett heard. And yeah, that's how they all need to go down there. And Derek is rightfully pissed. By default, the woman he loves is gone. His pregnant woman, his pregnant wife is gone, and she was about to deliver it. He's like, okay, so where is she? So who knew that this was happening? The whole clan knew. They point out that someone else did know, and we're gonna go to that. Meanwhile, why can I not remember her name? Anyway, Tony and Tony talk. I'm sorry. Until I remember, you gotta be Tony Dracon. So Tony Dracon and Tony Dracon talk, and they're still talking about this turf war going on. That Glasses might be the closest one who can really get this down. Glasses, who has been one of the most stable characters. One thing I loved about Gargoyles is so many of the characters were never just one-off characters. All right, if you go watch the series, I don't think any character is a throwaway. Like you see, the new DA, she's been in the series since I think episode 2, and she's just ever since they woke up and started taking place in Manhattan, she's been there, and she's got a really good reason to not like the Gargoyles, but she also has a reason to trust the Gargoyles. It's weird, but anyway, they point out, Tony and Tony point out that if Glasses and Dominic can't really fix this, Manhattan's going to become a battle zone. And you sort of get the feeling that this isn't something Tony wants. And this is, like we said before, this is exactly what happens when you just take out the crime boss. It just creates a power vacuum. Really, you should have gone to, what was it? Batman, the Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan's Batman, with the Rico case, where what they did was they took all the money and all the henchmen, so there's nothing they could do. So anyway, meanwhile, Thalog reveals to everyone, like, yeah, we were the one behind it. We, the reader, always knew. But I just love it because the nurse who was going to help Maggie deliver is, she's like, I'm not afraid of Lexington Gargoyle, but Goliath Gargoyle, I am scared of that. As she should. Like, no one's scared of Lex. All right, once you hear Lex talk, like, no, get out. I wonder if this Lex is still going to be gay. I don't think Gregor Wiseman ever did a story with that, but he did mention that he did feel that Lex was gay and he hadn't really, come to terms with it or whatever. So that'll be fun if we ever get to that. But anyway, everyone, meanwhile, though, the Manhattan clan realizes that, hey, one person did know about Maggie delivering, and it was Owen Burnett. Owen Burnett got the message and was the one that told them. So the question is, who does Owen Burnett work for? Like, everyone knows who Owen Burnett works for. All right, he works for the most dangerous man in Manhattan. David Xanatos. And Derek has always hated Xanatos, where Goliath and the others may trust Xanatos now. Derek has no such reservations about trusting this man, let alone trusting him with information about his family. So he's like, where is he? So I think we all know Derek, we all know Xanatos had nothing to do with this, but that's the evidence we go with. So anyway, that's how the comic ends. And honestly, this was fun. I like it. It's a bit more fast-paced than issue 1. Issue 1 was this nice sort of, hey, let's talk about, for those of you that don't remember, don't know, this is Gargoyles. For those of you that remember, hey, welcome back. Here's the status quo. All right? For those of you that didn't read the comics, you're like, I really wish I read the comics, but I like that you're taking me through this slowly. Yeah, so this was fun. The question is, how long are we going to spend talking to... Well, here's the thing. I'm willing to bet that they still believe Savarius is... Was Savarius... Did they think Savarius was dead? I know they... the Goliath Chronicles didn't happen. So I'm pretty sure the story with the big gargoyle didn't happen that Savarius made. So they may think Savarius is dead. So, yeah. I need to watch that last season again. So who knows, really? But I think Xanatos is going to be given the benefit of the doubt. They're going to direct him to that. And we're going to see another Goliath versus Thalog fight. That'll be cool. Or Derek versus Thalog. Actually, that might be cool, too. So, yeah. Overall, really fun. So, that was this week's Comic Chat. So, yeah, I'm glad Shazam is over. I'm sad, but at the same time, not too heartbroken to know I don't have to keep reading Nightwing. One Bad Day Bane delivers. I think really good, really good. Stargirl Lost Children. Love it. Just League of America is coming out. The JSA book comes out next week, so that'll be fun. And, of course... Every day. Hang on, hotkeys. There we go. No. And every day we have Gargoyles is a good day. This is the Bucket Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching. As always, may your fandom serve you well.